Hi, my name is Pascal. Today we are going to talk about an example day of German volume training for back and biceps. Now, of course, there are many iterations and variations of this. The main idea is that you do 10 by 10 repetitions and sets of any kind of exercise for 40 to 60% of your one repetition maximum. Today we're going to walk over the Yates row, the bent over row, the preacher curl and the drag curl as a combination of supersets and a main workout to have a back and bicep day on German volume training. If you want more information, then please click on the links in the description box below and let's get into the different movements. So the bent over row is a classic within the strength and bodybuilding community. There's a lot of discussion about it and how it should be executed. There's the bent over row, there's the Pendlay row, there's the Yates row, and it all depends on range of motion and what you really want to do. Now what I'm going to demonstrate is the bent over row, and there are also two different extremes. I personally don't like the discussion about saying one or the other is wrong. I just would say that these two variations have different uses. So the first variation would be the classic one. So you grab the barbell, you go about shoulder wide apart with your legs. You then go a thumb wide from the knurling. You get your back close. You do a partial deadlift. Then you go below the knee, keep the back straight, and then you roll. Now, important here is that you really go below the knee and that you control the movement. So this is more of a bodybuilding row, 10 by 10s with 30 seconds in between. Now, if you want to do the Keller-Woolen variation, which is more powerlifting related, and that also Ed Cohen actually recommends, then you use body English, which is basically this. So you see the movement becomes way more out of the back. And this is the row that is highly debated because it can lead to a higher injury risk. Where it has its use for me personally is really to bring your deadlift numbers up. If you do that, you will use lower weights. Well, fairly high weights for a 5, but not so extreme that you might hurt your back. And then you try to go heavier and heavier and heavier for sets of 5, sets of 6, not necessarily 10s. So if you want to follow the whole body English idea, then you're going for power. And that's Cupcake here, my English Bulldog. So now a variation to the bent over row that I personally like is the Yates row. So all you do is you basically invert your hands, and then the same logic applies for the rows, except that the hands are pointing away from you. So this is an exercise that you can cycle with the bent over rows about every month so that you get to more muscles in your back. So next exercise I want to show are drag curls. Now I personally prefer them a lot over barbell curls, especially if you want to work your back and the bicep at the same time. So let me demonstrate the drag curl. So it's the same thing as a barbell curl. You unrack the bar and then you curl up. But the big difference is, as you can see, you stay as close as possible to your body and you only go to 90-degree angle at the top, maybe even hold a little. So why this is better for your back and also for your grip is because you don't have any of this swinging going on that sometimes happen with a barbell curl. And what is really important here is that you really tighten your back and then pull up and squeeze the bar as hard as you possibly can. If you do it like that for 10 by 10, believe you me, you will not need a lot of weight to actually get a pump out of that. So you do 10 by 10 of those and you superset it with the exercise that I will show you next for back and bicep. So the last exercise to show you are preacher curls. Now I'm using my Rogue adjustable bench for these. I love those for bicep work because I think there's really nothing better than a single arm preacher curl to really isolate the bicep and get the most pump out of it. So I personally use a kettlebell here. You go up and down really slowly, really isolate the bicep. You can also do this with a dumbbell, and then you go for 10 by 10 with 30 seconds in between. Superset that with the drag curls that I've just showed you. And then if you do the bent over row or the Yates row as the main exercise of the day, you have an excellent little simple routine to do German volume training with free weights for your back and bicep development. Key to this is to start slow. German volume training is really about the pump and hypertrophy. It's not so much about 1 repetition maximum attempts. Therefore, you can take your time and really isolate the muscle and focus on it. So don't overreach and start with smaller weights. If you can't handle a barbell for the bent over rows and the Yates rows, you can also use dumbbells or kettlebells that are less than 20 kg in weight. There's no problem whatsoever. And then at some time you graduate to these. And also any exercise I've done here, you can either do with a kettlebell or a dumbbell. That really doesn't matter that much. What does matter is that you do the 10 by 10, that you work up a sweat and that it feels like, you know, uncomfortable by the end of the session. Otherwise you haven't pushed yourself far enough, and that you really rigorously keep to the 30 seconds of rest in between the sets. If you follow all of these steps, German volume training is a really effective routine with free weights to build muscle fast. Take care of your diet in parallel, because if your diet is not up to par, then you won't grow. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and tell your friends about my channel. Have a very nice day and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.